right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Temperatures are supposed to be in the mid-60s this time of the year, but this week will be dominated by much warmer than average temperatures. What that means and when we'll see fall return just ahead.
Thousands of students' education may be on the line. The scholarship program set to expire soon that could force some students to change schools.
At the end of the day, all we have is each other, especially being Muslim here in this country. There's not much of us out here, so us standing together really makes a difference.
Right now, this isn't about politics. This is about terrorists who came over and murdered people.
Two sides of the conflict. How in the same day, St. Louisans spoke out in support of both Israel and Palestine. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Mike Bush. Tonight we're starting with news from Gaza. A second round of aid trucks went into the region from the Egyptian border today. 15 crossed into Gaza, but several more are still waiting to get in and will need to go through further security checks. Palestinian officials say a constant stream of aid is the only solution to what they say is a humanitarian crisis. As airstrikes from Israel continue and hospitals become overwhelmed, aid groups say the lack of supplies could lead to more deaths. Israel is now dropping flyers into northern Gaza saying anyone who does not evacuate southward will be considered a terrorist. This is coming before an anticipated ground invasion of the region from its northern border. According to the United Nations, evacuating the nearly 1.1 million people there would be impossible. According to Gaza's Ministry of Health, 260 people, nearly half of them children, have been killed in the past 24 hours alone. Tonight, Israelis and Palestinians in St. Louis are continuing to rally as tensions heighten. 5 on your side's Diamond Palmer explains how the two groups are gaining more support from communities in this city.
Emotions are raw.
And the question is what else could Israel do? Israel's damned if you do and damned if you don't.
And tensions are high.
It's not a conflict, it's not a war, it's a genocide.
Both Israelis and Palestinians say what's happening is terrifying. Through it all, St. Louisans continue to show support to both sides by rallying and protesting.
Sunday, Israelis held a rally and silent prayer protest in Forest Park. Both Jewish people and members of other faith communities gathered, calling for solidarity with Israel.
It is very hard to being Jewish in this world today, and even harder to be an Israeli. It seems like the world just doesn't care about us anymore.
Free Palestine! Free!
In the same evening, just minutes away in downtown Clayton, Palestinians held an emergency protest, hundreds waving flags and chanting, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza.
All we have is each other, especially being Muslim here in this country. There's not much of us out here, so us standing together really makes a difference.
As days turn to weeks and more people are killed, both Israelis and Palestinians continue to hold journalists accountable and telling their stories correctly.
Seeing the lies and the rumors and the misinformation going on around on social media and on the news and basically everywhere, it is just very frustrating.
It's biased. They only cover one side. They're never covering our side. It makes us feel like we're the bad guys and they're the good guys.
Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
The UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says about 1.5 million people have been displaced in Gaza, more than 60% of the population. You can follow all the latest news on the Israel-Hamas war and find ways to support those impacted by texting the word Israel to 314-425-5355. Well, today wasn't a picture-perfect fall day. There was still a splatter of color and defiance. And while we're seeing more oranges and reds in the foliage, it looks like later this week we're going to be missing some of that blue in the sky. We're joining our meteorologist, Gary Frank, for our weather first forecast tonight. Gary?
Yeah, good evening. We're just trying to find a little bit of rain here over the next few days or at all. And I think that this next week's really important for you to get out and enjoy those colors, because I think after that week, not only the colors going to diminish just because of the time of the year, but just because of our weather pattern. Right now, it's as quiet as can be. As we look at the airport, a little bit milder than it's been over the last couple of mornings, as there are a few clouds starting to hang around. We saw them just around sunset, but temperatures have fallen into the 40s in some cases outside of the city, mid-50s in the city. You'll see where that warmer air is off to the southwest. That's what I think is going to hold our temperatures fairly steady over the coming hours, and that's going to be an important cog for us over the next few days. Not as cool overnight, 49 degrees. The next few days, though, it's not very fall-like despite those colors that you just saw in Defiance, but we do have better chances for rain this week. We're also looking at our first freeze. Finally, it's taken a while. Some of us have seen some frost, but not a hard freeze. We'll talk about when we expect that and why we've got plenty more 80s in between then.
Gary, thanks. Tuesday will mark 1 year since the shooting at Central Visual and Performing Arts campus. The tragedy took the lives of teacher Jean Kushka and student Alexandria Bell. In remembrance of the shooting, CVPA and collegiate high schools will be closed tomorrow and Tuesday. The bullet-related injury clinic will host a healing event this week to help those still feeling the pain from that day. Thousands of students in Illinois may find out this week if they can continue their private education at no cost to them. A scholarship program that gives donors a tax break for sponsoring kids' tuition costs is set to expire if the legislature doesn't extend it. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, reports on what's at stake for one high school sophomore and her single mom in Glen Carbon.
The rigors of 10th grade are testing Isabella Benvenuto.
I don't do good in big school environments. Smaller schools help me be able to focus more.
We met her in the halls of Father McGivney High School, where her single mother, Jolene, a disabled Army veteran, dropped her off.
Everything adds up. Everything. Rent, food.
She's already looking ahead at her finances, wondering how she'll make ends meet if she has to add the cost of her daughter's tuition to her stack of medical bills from 13 surgeries.
It would be, if not impossible, it would be extremely devastating financially.
Statewide, more than 5,000 donors got tax breaks for giving more than $75 million combined, enough to help Isabella and nearly 10,000 other students enroll. But the program is scheduled to expire before the end of next school year.
It's already in effect. It's already working. It's not affecting public schools. So why do we need to delete it whenever it works? Because all you're doing is taking away from our future.
So Isabella took on a homework project of a different kind, learning how to lobby her elected officials.
It's a lot easier for me to talk to adults than it is for kids my age.
The feedback she's gotten so far suggests her cause may face an uphill climb at the State House.
They don't want to do it because they want more funding to go towards public schools, which is fine.
The tax break for donors does not defund public schools. The state just doesn't collect those taxes.
This is not just a small population.
Principal Joe Lombardi says the program has helped 85 kids get into Father McGivney so far, and across the state, demand is growing, with a waiting list of 26,000 kids hoping to get their foot in the door at a private school near them.
It tells me that there's a need. It tells me that people are looking for ways to get the best for their student.
The program got this boost from Governor J.B. Pritzker Thursday.
I will support it if it comes to my desk to extend the program in whatever form.
But the governor's lifeline requires the House and Senate to take action first.
But when they vote against this, or they don't choose to extend it, they're actually harming kids.
Isabella says if the program expires, she'll pack up her locker and enroll in public school. Her plea to politicians: consider the golden rule.
Think of if their child had to go through this.
Reporting in Glen Carbon, Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
Illinois lawmakers begin the fall veto session on Tuesday. A man is dead after being hit by a car. It happened early this morning at the intersection of Chippewa and Merrimack in South St. Louis City. According to some, this street has been a source of problems for pedestrians for a while. Liz Kramer is co-chair of the St. Louis Community Mobility Committee. She says Chippewa and other streets have bad infrastructure. Part of the reason, she says, the streets are just too wide.
The wider the street is, the more likely people are to drive fast. Even if the speed limit is pretty low, it makes it feel like you can go really quickly through them. So when you have those narrower streets, people are going to drive a little bit more carefully. It's going to naturally slow them down.
Yeah, according to her, the likelihood of a deadly accident for pedestrians increases with every mile of speed. Walking to raise awareness and funds for juvenile diabetes. The Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation hosted the walk this morning at Merrimack Community College in Kirkwood. I was honored to be the MC, and there were also games, a parade, special appearances from some familiar faces. Many there support family members who live with the condition. Some parents in attendance, like Mike and Anna Barrett, work around the clock to help their kids through the challenges they face.
He didn't quite understand what was going on when he was first diagnosed, and that was a little bit hard, trying to understand how things were going to be kind of for the rest of his life, for foreseeable future. And that was quite an adjustment, but he's a warrior, and he's doing quite well. He's an amazing little boy.
Money raised during the event will go towards more research on type 1 diabetes and further advocacy and support for those who have it.
A soccer prodigy making a difference. How a community service project is giving kids with special needs more than just a learning tool.
I just thought it would be great for kids to, have this item so they can have fun in school.
The clash of the seasons, that's typical fall weather. But when we see that cold air finally win out as we track our next fall cold front and what that means for Halloween.
And I hope you'll stick around with me for Sports Plus. Yeah, you heard that right. It's only been 20 years. What will the Cardinals realistically do to get better next season? I sit down with one of the best baseball writers in America, Derek Gould from the Post-Dispatch, to get some answers.
The way they sign pitchers before, that's not happening in the market. The industry has not only caught up to the way the Cardinals operated, but surpassed them.
Plus, we'll look back at better Cardinal memories from 40 years ago. That's all in about 15 minutes. Hope you'll stick around. Check your inbox. You might have an email that says you're owed money from a recent class action settlement, or it might be a scam. Brandon Lewis from our National Verify team is here to help you spot the difference.
If you are eligible to participate in a class action settlement, you'll often get an email explaining how to claim your money. Usually, you'll have to provide some personal information, but that's also exactly what scammers want you to do, making fake settlement emails an easy way to target people. We get many viewers asking us if settlement emails they received are legit. So using these sources, we're going to show you how to spot a scam email. Here's an email we got from viewer Tara. Let's walk you through how we determine that this is a scam so you can do the same. The first red flag is the vague details about the case. The BBB says real notices contain specifics like the case number, court information, and who is eligible to take part. All of that is missing here. Second, check the sender's contact information. This email was supposedly sent by a James Nielsen from Notify, but if you search that name online, one of the first results is a scam warning. Real settlement cases have websites that come up during a search and provide an administrator's contact information so you can confirm any email you receive is real. Third, this email claims Tara is entitled to more than $80,000. This is an unusually large amount. AARP says most people get just a few dollars from a settlement, so anything higher is suspicious. Fourth, the email encourages Tara to act quickly. This is a common technique that scammers use to convince you to act urgently before you realize it's a scam. And finally, there's the link. Real notices should clearly show the website's full URL. Make sure to hover over any hyperlinks before clicking to ensure it's sending you where you want to go. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Would you like us to verify? Email verify@ksdk.com. This Halloween, you don't need to fear zombies rising from the grave, but you might fear the price of candy. Coming up, why treats might take a bite out of your wallet.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
With all the bad news in the world right now, it can be challenging to pay attention to current events. That's why I started our Making a Difference segment, so we could have a little positive news on the news. And tonight, a talented young soccer player who is interested in scoring points in the game of compassion.
Cougars on three! 1, 2, 3, Cougars! It's a sport of skill and technique, but some players chase a different kind of goal.
We've had success wide. Play it wide.
18-year-old Trey White is one of Afton High School's top soccer players.
He just perseveres. He works hard. He wants to be the best at everything that he does.
But he's not just a standout on the field. He's also a champion of compassion. Kim White adopted Trey through the foster care system when he was 22 months old.
We would go out in public and people would be like, oh, he's so lucky to have you. And I knew immediately that I was actually the lucky one.
That's because she says even when he was little, he had a big heart. A heart that would later lead him to another grand adventure, scouting.
I just like being able to hang out with my friends. I really like camping, going away, being off electronics.
And his compass is now plotting a course for the esteemed rank of Eagle Scout.
There's a lot of advantages of having it. You know, you can get scholarships. I mean, people look at it on your resume.
But his Eagle Scout service project wasn't just about personal achievement. His true inspiration came from the unwavering dedication of his mom, a longtime teacher in the special school district.
My mom's been in the special school district for a while now, so I just thought it would be great for kids to, have this item so they can have fun in school.
Using PVC pipe, Trey created a dozen learning stands to help children with unique challenges, like 10-year-old Olive Kaufman.
When we get to class, Miss Nelson is missing. The educational learning stands provide access for Olive to see things at her level when she's in the chair. It gives her options to select from. Good job.
Olive, who was born with cerebral palsy, communicates through head motions on her augmented communication device.
We're going to be Viola Swamp today.
And she's choosing to dress up like an illustration in her favorite book.
We've been working a lot for her to advocate for herself, and I think this is just another way she can advocate for herself. Do you look like Miss Swamp, or do you look like Olive?
The learning stands, which can also be equipped with ribbons and beads for a sensory experience,
Olive, today,
offer children more than just an educational tool.
Be Miss Nelson as a teacher?
Trey is giving them the precious gift of choice.
Just call me Viola.
He's such a great independent kid, and to be able to see these kids have the opportunity to have a choice and a voice about what they see and what they can do, that just makes it even better.
Trey White is now one step closer to becoming an Eagle Scout and one step closer to making a lasting difference.
I mean, he is one of the best that we have here walking the halls of Afton, and if we could put a model student down for Afton High School, Trey would be at the top of the list.
A reminder to all of us that true champions play for the hearts of others.
Getting to see them smile and laugh about stuff, it just warms my heart.
Trey, scout leader in St. Raphael's Men's Club, also helped make this project happen. And a reminder, if you know an inspiring person or someone making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com.
McCarthy.
Well, it's been nearly 3 weeks since former Congressman Kevin McCarthy was ousted from the House speakership, and yet the race to replace him continues. As of now, there are 9 candidates who announced their plans to run for the job. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio lost after 3 rounds of voting. A Republican candidate forum is scheduled for tomorrow with an internal conference vote scheduled to take place the following day. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us once again with the Weather First forecast, and it's going to get a little bit warmer, I understand, Gary.
Yeah, it doesn't feel much like the end of October, the final week that we're working our way in. It's almost Halloween. We'll be talking about that next week, but we'll also be talking about some significant changes. As the sun set tonight, I joined you at 5 o'clock and talked about how nice the sunset would be. I want to show you this time lapse. You can see those high clouds settle in here, and we really got some nice photos sharing in from you. From Lois, this is in Olney in Lincoln County. You see those illuminated high clouds. We also had Paul, who always posts some great photos for us morning and night in Washington, Missouri. This is our 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers Facebook group, so you can share your photos with fellow weather enthusiasts and ourselves, and we can also check them out here as well. Temperatures have fallen a little bit, 54 degrees. It's not all that bad. We did end up getting into the mid-60s. That's pretty much where we should be this time of the year, and I don't think we're going to drop all that much more. We're going to hold steady to about 50 in the city as we start to shift our wind direction. It's not as cool as it was yesterday morning. We'll really see that wind play a factor tomorrow after our break for it today. We have a south-southeast breeze, gusts upwards of 25, maybe near 30 miles an hour, so it's going to displace more of those leaves. So don't work too hard in your yard. They're going to be blowing around a little bit more, but tomorrow, nearly 80 degrees again. I think we'll touch 80 degrees before we fall back down into the 70s. We will watch this piece of moisture from Tropical Storm Norma as it works its way in. You'll see the leading edge of it starting to develop a little bit of rain here, and that's what's going to be headed our way to some degree. You'll notice when these clouds get up here, they're pretty much moving from west to east, and that's where most of these storm systems continue. So scattered showers on Tuesday at times, and then on Wednesday, not an all-day rain, but any rain we can get at this point is what we'll take. Now, I want want to look at more of a major system. Where's the cold air at? This is all bottled up in Canada, and the main flow and the jet stream stays to the north. But watch this area here in the Pacific Northwest. That's going to be responsible for finally pushing this down as it's working its way. You'll see that northwesterly breeze. We're still staying on the warm side of things before that arrives and gives us our best opportunity at rain in many, many months. The clash of the seasons, though, continues. Saturday, we're going to hang tight in between 60s, 70s. This could very well change. If that cold air wins out, we'll get colder on Sunday. Right now, I think we have one last push of warmer air before those 30s win out, and that's what's going to change our weather at the end of the month. Front's position still up in the air, so temperatures may vary from north to south throughout the state and a couple pretty much throughout the region, but our rain chances look much better as we have a cold Halloween forecast. And our very early look at it, mid-40s, much cooler. And our first freeze is ahead. Maybe not Sunday night, maybe not Monday night, very close, but I think by next Tuesday. So for the next 10 days, you'll see how we go from very warm conditions in the 80s, even 84, many rain chances. And then there it is, 40s and 30s in the morning. That's the fall-like weather to close out the month.
All right, Gary, thanks. Well, some are feeling tricked when shopping for their Halloween treats this year. Many are noticing the cost of candy is going up. According to the Bureau of Labor, the price of candy has gone up more than 13% since last year. Now, prices in the Midwest will be a little cheaper than other parts of the country since most candy is either produced or distributed in the region. Even so, this year, fun-sized Snickers can cost you around $5.50 at Schnucks for a 10.5-ounce bag.
It's Paul Cook. I do your traffic updates each morning on Today in St. Louis. On the move, MoDOT officials suggest pulling up a navigation app before you go on a trip. Before, that's the most important word here. No one is asking drivers to use their hands.
Waze is a great partner with us. Missouri Department of Transportation, all of our traffic incident data goes directly to Waze. So you can use our app, you can use Waze app, and we do that with other apps too. We're not just focused on Waze.
But with the new hands-free law, have you ever felt it could be unsafe confirming an incident on Waze by tapping the screen on your phone while driving like it asks? Well, that's my question.
Waze does have a feature that's unique where you can independently report. What MoDOT's position on that, and now what state law's position on that is you shouldn't be touching your phone when you're driving. So if you have Waze on and you see an incident and you feel compelled to report it and there's somebody else in your vehicle, they should report it for you.
So they should touch your phone, not you. No passenger, don't do it. That's On the Move. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
And football is back in Lahaina, Hawaii. That's the city wiped out by a wildfire in August. Last night, the high school's varsity team played its first game since then. For many of the fans, coaches, and the players, being back at the stadium was the closest thing to feeling at home in the weeks since the fire. And classes resumed last week at Lahaina Luna High. And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. Up next is Sports Plus.